Hello, everyone. My name is Max Claps, and I'm a research director with IDC. It's great to be here with you today, and I hope I'll get a chance to visit Portugal very soon again. What I do at IDC is trying to understand how technology is being used in public sector, transportation, in cross-industry ecosystems, and in particular, how data is being used to make more intelligent business decisions, policy decisions in government, more customer-centric decisions. And that is those are some of the things that I will be talking to you today. I'll try to focus on how organizations, both in private sector and in public sector, are trying to change the way they innovate through data, but not only in terms of what technologies they're using, but also in terms of the organizational constructs, the capacity and competencies they're trying to build, how they work with other organizations in a more agile and open manner. And that's the focus of this discussion today, and hopefully I'll give you some food for thought for the continuation of the event. So it's very clear, as I said, in every industry that data is at the core of how operations will be made more efficient, how products and services will become more customer-centric, increase convenience and personalization. But it's also very clear that it's important for organizations to treat that data as an enterprise resource, as a strategic resource, to treat it in a trusted manner, to protect the privacy, to ensure the security of the data. And that comes out of any strategic declaration, being it the EU data strategy from the European Commission, or being an organization like Interpol that leverages data with all of the police forces around the world to apprehend criminals, or being Porsche that really sees the sharing and access and the ability to support the business need through data and as an important element, or being a rich and complex ecosystem like mobility, where you have operators, orchestrators of services, policymakers, providers of cars and vehicles and other equipments that are coming together to use data in a more successful manner. So data is the pillar for success. But unfortunately, it's easier said than done, right? There are many organizations that are data rich, right? We are surrounded by data as individuals, as enterprises. But the real value of data, which sits in the insights, in the intelligence that can be extracted to make better decisions, it's not always available, right? And it turns out that according to IDC research, only 5%, if you see these metrics on the right hand of the slide, only 5% of organizations are able to process the data in a structured manner to deliver intelligence at the business process level, at the strategic decisioning level, at the customer service representatives that are on a daily basis in need to make more intelligent decisions. And that data, again, only very few organizations are able to organize it from a visualization standpoint, from an analysis standpoint, so that those intelligence can be delivered at scale and not only in certain circumstances. So the investments that enterprises are trying to make in the process of treating data as a strategic enterprise resource is to get out of that nebulous light blue 65% of spreadsheets and silos within organizations and moving towards the right end of that matrix, the top right end of that matrix, where they can deliver the insights and organize the data in a way that makes that delivery scalable. In essence, what they're trying to do is to launch and sustain a virtuous cycle where they are able to not only collect a lot of data or draw in a lot of data, but they're able to synthesize that information, to learn from the information, right? To extract those insights and then deliver the insights at scale to make better customer-centric decisions, to drive innovation in the services and products that they offer, and to increase productivity from an operational efficiency perspective, right? And data, it's an interesting type of resource for the enterprise. It's not like once you've used it, it's consumed, it's gone. The more you use it, the more you share it, the more you combine it and analyze it in unexpected and unforeseen ways, the more value can be extracted from that data. But it's all about creating that virtuous cycle. The important thing about the virtuous cycle is that it's not only about the technology, right? For sure, there's plenty of investments that are going into AI, into cloud computing, into edge or what we call swarm intelligence solutions to augment the capabilities, deploy the capabilities, scale the capabilities. But those technology and technical capabilities will only be as good as the organizational capacity to leverage them, right? Things like cross business unit or in public sector, cross agency, cross department collaboration, things like skills and competencies, things like driving innovation, but also being aware of the importance of using data in a trusted, acceptable, ethically appropriate manner, and things like opening your chest to the ecosystem to be able to experiment with data sources that were not considered before and to create new business models, open up opportunities for new revenue streams. So those organizational capacities are as important. And let me give you some quick examples for each of them. Let's start with the cross-organizational collaboration. There's a quote from Tim Berners-Lee at the bottom that says that connecting data across the organizations is a key question for any enterprise CEO. And one enterprise that has tackled that questions directly and with a big investment is Unilever. They have what they call people data centers. They have 30 of them around the globe. And basically, these data centers, people data centers, are competency centers that break down the organizational silos, that create labs with the supply side capacity to deliver ingestion competencies and capabilities, to deliver analytical tools at scale. And they have squads that are embedded in the various business units that bring in the relevant business questions to be solved through data. And they have created that virtuous cycle of cross-unit collaboration across the entire global enterprise of Unilever. And they're able to leverage the value of the data that they own, but also second and third party data, and do it in a trusted manner. When it comes to skills, let's take a look at an example from the public sector, right? The UK government set up a set of job families for digital data and technology professionals. And they're about data and IT operations and products and quality assurance. They're a little bit technical still. But organizations that want to move from pure technical competencies to being well run and efficient to organizations that are innovation centric, to the future of innovation that we're discussing today, they also need softer skills like iteration, data literacy, user centricity, curiosity, storytelling, insurgency. And that is what the OECD lists at the core skills for public sector innovation. So you see, there are some complementarities between the two. There are some similarities. Data and user centricity are called out in both lists. But even within the public sector, there are these two different views that need to be brought together when it comes to skills and competencies, not just about the technical specialists. It's about this innovation mindset and set of competencies that need to be in place. And speaking of the innovation mindset, when the United Arab Emirates went about defining and publishing their national innovation strategy, they said that one of their key goals is the aspiration to embed a culture of innovation, to have people feel empowered and have the policies and processes and procedure in place to have people be empowered to innovate in an efficient manner. And that is what IDC expects to happen in many large organizations around the world, as the predictions on the bottom left says, shifting from authorized to empowered team when it comes to a culture of innovation. But that needs to be paired with a trusted use of data. The culture of innovation doesn't mean that it's a free-for-all, right? Data are an important asset. Organizations are dealing not only with the data that they collect and they have consent for, but they're increasingly looking at the value of second and third-party data, linked data, and they have to ask themselves questions about, are they using that data in an acceptable manner? And many large organizations like Orange did in March 2021 across the globe are setting up oversight mechanisms for how the power of AI and swarm intelligence and cloud computing needs to be controlled in a way or overseen to make sure that data is used in that appropriate manner, that the recommendations are that are automatically generated by AI do not present major risk for people using it or for people that are targeted by the use of information, even if it is to improve a service for the customer. So that culture of open innovation brought together with a trusted use of data is really important. And the question is even more important when enterprises are trying to work across the ecosystems, right? We asked in May 2021 to over 1,300 public and private sector organizations in Europe, what is their goal of participating to digital ecosystems? And their number one goal is sharing data and information, exchanging data and information. And the framework that you see on the right of this slide is what we call our future of industry ecosystem. And the future of industry ecosystem is essentially more and more entities in Europe and beyond that are looking to collaborate beyond their organizational boundaries to share application, to share operations and expertise, and to share data and insights. That is the primary objective. So if the future of innovation is data-centric, it is also ecosystem driven. And in the context of this ecosystem, being open, but also asking questions about the trusted exchange of data across those organizational boundaries is important. And let me give you just a quick set of examples that comes from an industry that I know a little bit better, which is personal mobility or personal transportation. Being it for safety purposes, like in the case of the Data for Safety initiative for the aviation industry, or being it the International Association of Public Transport that has set up a forum for open payments to make it more convenient for people to use their preferred payment method to go and buy and check in with any transportation and public transportation and railway provider, or being it for the purpose of better planning transportation services and infrastructure in cities, such as in the case of the Dutch cities that are listed on the Polis example on the right. Whatever the business goal is, data is at the center of this ecosystem-centric transformation in the transportation ecosystem, not an industry anymore. Many, many different stakeholders. So to conclude, if data is at the center, if it is the enabler, if it is the thing that empowers the success of organization of extracting intelligent insights to make better decisions, it's not only about the technology. It's important to break down the organizational silos and steer towards a customer-centric collaborative culture within each enterprise. It is about nurturing not only the technical, but also the business, or as the OECD says, the innovation competencies that empower each enterprise, each public sector or private sector organization to treat data as a strategic asset. It is about driving innovation, but also being conscious and aware of the need to treat data in a trusted manner for the sake of the customer, for the sake of the organization that wants to protect intellectual property. And last but not least, the most important part probably for the future, the most typical part to figure out, it's about opening the chest to the ecosystem and seeking data-centric collaboration beyond the boundaries of the enterprise. Thank you very much for listening. As I said at the beginning, I hope I gave you some interesting ideas for further discussion. I hope you enjoy the rest of the event and look forward to the next opportunity to speak with such an interesting Portuguese audience as I've always encountered when I visited your country. Thank you very much.